So, what does an Amish school day look like for Amish children, and how is the school structured? I'm going to ask lots of questions today about Amish schooling. Who are their teachers? How do they get them? If they're only allowed to go to eighth grade, then how do they hire teachers to teach the other children? We'll discuss that. How many students are in a classroom, and how long is the school day? How do they how do they even get to school since they don't have school buses? And what exactly do they learn while they're in school? And why are they stopping in eighth grade? Why don't they continue on to 12th grade? So, we're going to answer all of those questions and maybe even more, all about the Amish school system. Let's start out with teachers. Teachers come from within their community, and they're usually young girls. So, as an example, a young girl, 13 or 14, who's getting ready to graduate at eighth grade and wishes to become a teacher will then become an apprentice to an older teacher that's already there. And actually, they start to apprentice before they graduate so that they're ready to teach by the time the next school year starts after they're finished. So they may spend a couple of years teaching younger children with the teacher while they're still in school. So that's part of their apprentice program. And then they become the teacher. What happens if there aren't enough teachers in the community or young girls that want to be teachers? Then they might reach out to other communities. They are connected, even though they don't have communication like we do, but they're extremely connected to relatives, friends in other states, other communities. So they can always move somebody in and help them with lodging so that they can teach. The third option is if they still can't find a teacher, then the mother of her own children, she may just homeschool them temporarily until a teacher's found. And sometimes families will get together. We have one family, grandfather and three of his sons all live on the same piece of property, and they don't have a teacher right now. So they're all the grandkids. There's like 15 of them are all going together into one of the houses, and one of the mothers has volunteered to go ahead and teach them. So they are innovative and they can solve problems. So how many students typically are in a school? You're going to find typically roughly 30 to 40 students at the most at the school. And the school can either be a one-room schoolhouse or it may have two rooms. And the teacher will teach the first through fourth graders as a group, and she'll teach the fifth through eighth grade as a group. So they're split in two groups. They pretty much stick to the basic subjects of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and they also speak in their Pennsylvania Dutch language, and they learn English when they're in school. Basically, at home, they only speak Pennsylvania Dutch, and they are introduced to English and when they get to school so that they can learn how to be part of the culture once they graduate at eighth grade. A school day consists of them arriving around 8:30. They have lunch about 11:30 to 12:30, lunch and recess, and then they are finished by 3:30. So their school day, as far as length, is very similar to the English system. What one may wonder is how do they even get to school since they don't have a school bus? They actually, depending on where the school is, many of them will walk. They may ride bikes, or they may get on a little horse and a little pony cart. They let the younger children drive those. The horse is a lot smaller, obviously, and they will drive their younger siblings to school. Sometimes an older student or a parent might just drop them off at school and then come back and pick them up as well. And the last resource might be hiring a driver, an English driver or a van to come pick them up and drop them off every day. All of it really depends on resources and how far away the school is. One big question many people ask or they wonder, why do they only go to eighth grade? Why don't they have high school? One of the reasons that they don't go into high school is because of their religious beliefs. They believe that a high school is counterproductive to their beliefs. They want their children to maintain their Christian values, and a lot of times higher education is counterproductive to that. One big example is evolution. I remember I was raised personally as a Christian. We went to a Catholic school, and I got into high school and I started learning that I came from a monkey when all my life I had learned I came from Adam and Eve and God created me. And it honestly, even as an English person, it was very confusing to me at that time. And my mind, I'm starting to try to justify it. Now I know what the truth is, but it is very confusing, and they don't want their children to be indoctrinated with these other beliefs that aren't true. Another reason, they don't believe they need higher education. A lot of times students go to college because they're learning a trade. And in the Amish community, they have apprenticeship programs when a child turns graduates from 8th grade. They're usually about 14 years old and they get a full-time job. I went into the feed store one day and there was a young man there and I said, "Oh, are you working here for your dad?" He goes, "No, I work here." And he was so proud that he had a full-time job. He waited on me and he was just very polite, very professional. And I just kept thinking, most of our 14-year-old boys are on video games. They're not maintaining 40 hours a week at a full-time job like a young man. And I found that very interesting when I was standing there. Just do Amish children ever go to American public schools? And yes, some of them do. It really depends on the community and what's available there. If they absolutely have nowhere else to go, there are some communities that do allow their children to go into the public school and learn there. So it always boils down to, it depends on resources, what state, what community, and how deep the parents' faith is, and how strong their convictions are as far as maintaining those old traditional values.